I'm a sophomore majoring in electrical and computer engineering and mechanical engineering with a minor in music. And I'm interested in entrepreneurship.
Okay, so my name is Sydney. I'm a junior here at Duke studying ECE and BME, so biomedical and electrical engineering. I'm really passionate about entrepreneurship and neural engineering. So those are the two passions that drive me.
I'm Vidana as well. I'm a junior majoring in BME and economics. I'm one of the co-presidents of the Duke Startup Challenge. I'm the undergraduate co-president of Duke Startup Challenge, and entrepreneurship is one of my passions.
Right, my name is Patrick Wedgeworth. I'm the student manager of the DoHatch incubator here. We help students to kick their businesses off and provide them with legal support and accounting support and some office space as well. I have a background in biotechnology and biomechanical engineering. I've started a previous startup company. I'm currently working on one called theclusterhub.com, which is a group management site.
I'm a professor at Duke at the law school, and at the same time I run some venture capital companies, startup companies, focused on clean tech, energy, focused on medical devices, transportation, communication, stuff like that.
The thing I'm working on currently is a website to display a new way of viewing YouTube in a sense of a radio station, like viewing YouTube as a radio station, discovering the unknown hits of YouTube.
And one of my involvements at Duke University is Incube, something that a couple of friends and I started about a year ago, which is basically an entrepreneurship house where everybody living there is really passionate about entrepreneurship. And
engineering is at the base of all entrepreneurship. Engineering and entrepreneurship essentially are the same thing. Now, entrepreneurship is a wider focus. They're both problem solving essentially. Engineers, we create solutions to mechanical problems, physical problems, things that need to be built or things that need to be thought of differently. Entrepreneurs, they see a need, they build a solution. Most of entrepreneurship and engineering, I think, are the same thing essentially, just different principles are applied differently.
When I think of entrepreneurship, immediately it's the social network kind of example, our ideology with anyone, any student with an idea, and like having the time, energy, and passion to pursue that idea in order to come up with a product or service that's incredibly great to market and promote and to really improve themselves and what they're open to.
I think that entrepreneurship is about impact. So entrepreneurship is not about necessarily starting a company, although starting a company is a form of entrepreneurship. But I think you can be very entrepreneurial within a larger corporation, as long as you're having impact in an innovative way. So you're taking an innovation and translating that into something tangible that impacts people's lives.
Entrepreneurship to me is problem solving. It's all seeing a problem, solving it, maybe making some money off of it, but not necessarily.
I don't know. I think it's almost in the blood. As I've told you before, my dad was an entrepreneur, and he's been trying to discourage me from doing it. But I've just seen it, and it's great to bring something that's kind of yours, something that's your idea, start in your head, and bring it into something that's actually real, that's real and existing.
Growth-oriented focus than it traditionally has. Because if you're solving a $10 billion problem, you know that you've got a $10 billion market. If you're solving a $100 billion problem, you know you've got a $100 billion market. So we like to think big. Mm-hmm. I go back to President Broadhead's charge for Duke, and that is knowledge and service to society. And that's what entrepreneurship really is. Too often it's widget focused. Too often it's let's roam the halls of Duke and find some sort of idea and see if it will work somewhere. Instead, let's figure out what society's problems are and then bring the resources of Duke together to solve the problems. And therefore that means that entrepreneurship is not just widget focused. It's not just policy focused. It's widget focused and policy focused and resource focused in solution of a problem.
making people aware of that entrepreneurship is a viable career option, and not taking away that that hesitancy of taking the risk, because there is a risk involved. You're leaving everything to start your own thing, and for some people that risk is too much to take. But for those people who are on the edge, how to just push them over that edge to take the leap of faith, the proverbial leap of faith, and jump off the cliff.
Well, creativity is key. If you're not creative on a product, or creative enough on a product, then there's a product B that will always exist to be more creative, or easier to use, or more marketable. So you have to be more creative, and you have to continuously be creative to continuously expand your product.
At its core, from a theoretical level, entrepreneurship is creativity. You need to have that creativity, that inspiration to be an entrepreneur, and then you need to execute on that. But at a theoretical level, I think it has a lot to do with creativity.
Creativity? Well, if you're an engineer and you're not creative, your solution will not be any good. If you're an entrepreneur and you're not creative, then you can't be an entrepreneur.
You can make a case that all these entrepreneurships, like YouTube Instant, the Stanford student that created YouTube Instant, he had a lot of technical skills. He created a lot of other websites with technical skills, but those websites didn't catch on as well as YouTube Instant did, and that's because he was creative enough to actually think outside the lines. Take a step back and say, like, okay, instead of having all these technical skills and knowing how to solve these small problems, what's a big problem that exists today that we haven't solved quite yet, and that we can use, and how can we solve it instead of using my little recursion methods or anything like that? It's what can we do to make the world better, or this problem more solvable?
Can you define creativity? I don't think you can. It's something so unique to everyone. It's your unique take on how you want to see things done and how you do things. It's how you think outside your box, what the shape of your box is. I may have a elliptical box. I don't know.
I mean, it's an inherent thing, I think. I mean, it's just really important. It's a spark. I think it's what started my desire to start companies in the first place.
Being creative?
It's just the feeling of creativity in general. Well, I mean, a lot of people have good ideas, and they might even be creative to the extent that they bring it into reality, but entrepreneurship is kind of linking that creativity with a need in the marketplace. You could be creative, you could design a new UAV machine, for example, but if there's not a market need for it, then it's a creative project of your own. What you're doing in entrepreneurship is linking your creativity with a need that needs to be met in society.
Well, this is the thing that a lot of people think that you have to be creative in order to be an entrepreneur. And I actually think I like to turn it all the way back around and say, instead of thinking what widget I'm going to create, think about the problem. Think about a big problem and get a bunch of people in the room and say, how can we possibly solve this problem? But we've got two constraints. The solution has to be better than anything else out there, and the solution has to be cheaper than anything else out there. Because if you make it better and cheaper and it goes for a big problem, you've got a tiger by the tail. And we're all taught at Duke to become problem solvers. And so what I'd like to think of problem solving is just simply a direction for creativity that a lot of people need. And by providing that direction, but providing that sort of end goal, you harness the innate creativity of every student at Duke, rather than having this sort of this point source creativity of saying, well,
I think of basically what I'd said before, just having a bunch of ideas in your head, but not just having ideas. It's important to have ideas, be able to kind of sort out the details, and then experimenting with those ideas and kind of bringing them into reality more and more.
And the creativity of that idea was trumped the technical skill. It's not about like, oh, how are we going to make this work? The idea was good enough that they found people that could implement it and they could make it work. But creativity was key in that sense.
I think it's a fantastic community. I think there's a lot going on here. It's something that we need to nurture, though. Let's face it. I mean, we're not at the Stanford level yet, or we're not at the MIT level in terms of intensity. But at the same time, I don't think I want to be Stanford, nor do I want to be MIT, because I think that there's a level and focus on entrepreneurship that we can do it better than Stanford or MIT did, because I think the problems of Stanford and MIT is that they're focused too much on these sort of like quick little wins, and we found that we can create new big technologies that can have a lasting difference by using strategic partnerships with major corporations.
When I got here, the entrepreneurial scene was just up and coming. Now, if I could choose again, the entrepreneurial factor would play into my decision, and I would even more likely to come here, because it has grown so much since my freshman year. And it's just black and white. My freshman year, there was like, in my freshman class, a couple people who were passionate about entrepreneurship and actually pursuing it. Now it's a constant buzz across campus, where you run into somebody and you ask them about their business, and you know who's in the community. And people who aren't in the community, they know what's going on the entrepreneurial scene on campus. So yeah, Duke University has definitely come really far.
It's interesting. I love it. It's great because you have this connection with the RTP, and the RTP area is growing. We have so many just great minds in the area due to the huge biotech space. So it has a lot of potential. It's still in the process of growing though. It's great. I think one thing that could really help it is connecting Duke more with the actual entrepreneurial community in the RTP. It would be great to see more connections, and we're trying to make that currently. But it would be great to see just not only the organizations with entrepreneurs, but the actual students, the individual student teams as well, more connected to the RTP community.
I think it's at a critical stage. It's building up nicely. It's at a stage where it's at a pivot point. I'd say it's at a very important pivot point, and it can have hockey stick growth, or it can fall into the abyss.
So I think that Duke has made huge strides from the infrastructure side, from providing the concrete opportunities and mechanisms for students to get involved in entrepreneurship, and once they are involved, to really have the opportunities to grow their business. I think what Duke could do better, and what Duke needs to improve moving forward, from all levels, from the administration level and from the student level, is fostering an entrepreneurial culture, where students see entrepreneurship as a feasible career path after graduation, and not as much as an experiential thing that they do on campus. And if the company explodes on campus, which is unlikely, then pursue it afterwards. But if not, then at the end, fall back on the security of an iBanking job or a consulting job and pursue that. And I think the way you do that, the way you make that transition from just experimenting with entrepreneurship to committing to entrepreneurship for the long run is through peer pressure, through a culture where everybody is entrepreneurial and passionate about that.
And now there's college kids in the news becoming famous and really impacting the world, changing the world completely, and taking it from one guy or two guys in a dorm room to the next level by having Incube, particularly. So now you have a dorm full of people with like-minded passion, creativity, and then instead of having it per dorm room, you now have a dorm full of that. And when you have a dorm full of that, they tell their friends and everything, and now you have classrooms full of people who are really interested in entrepreneurship. And now when you have classrooms of people really interested in entrepreneurship, you get professors and classes on entrepreneurship, and when that happens, you get a university interested in entrepreneurship, and when you have the university interested in entrepreneurship, you can get the city, and then the state, and a country full of very eager, very passionate students who are hoping to make a change.
I am a Duke entrepreneur.
I am a Duke entrepreneur.
I am a Duke entrepreneur.